Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Fiverr Talks. Today we're talking about Fiverr's new order page interface. What did they change? Why did they change it? And how will it affect your life as a Fiverr seller? We're going to look at all of those things in today's video, so stick around. That's right, as Fiverr has been known from time to time, they have tweaked, they have tinkered, they have gone to the garage and changed something about the interface. Sometimes these changes are frustrating, sometimes they're uplifting. Today we're going to talk about the important changes that they made specifically just to the order pages. Most of the interface is unchanged, but just the order or gig page where all your information lives after someone places an order with you. And we're going to see how that change can either help you or hurt you. What are the new features and what are some things you can take advantage of with these changes. But before we jump into all that, I'm going to take a quick second to say happy belated Thanksgiving to all of you out there that celebrate the holiday here in the US and abroad, a time where we stop and we reflect, we look back at the last year and say, what are we thankful for? What have we been blessed with? And I have to say, among my list of many thanks and blessings, I have you all. I have this channel, I have this wonderful place, this community we have shared together for the last couple years where we share information and knowledge and encouragement. And in case you're new, that is the goal of this channel, to share information and knowledge from my experience, your experience, in the hope to encourage each other to take more control of our careers, more control of our life, the way we work, the way we want to live, and really go out there and make this life whatever we want it to be. So I took a couple weeks off to enjoy those things, enjoy that holiday, enjoy this time with my family and friends, and now I'm back here with you, ready to dig in and get to some really important stuff before another important holiday here in the US. There's lots rolling down the pipe at us, but we've got some really important things to talk about. So, back to Fiverr's order page user interface changes. This is something that's hot off the presses, only happened about a week ago, I think, if not less than that. They made some changes to the order or gig page itself. Now, just so you know what I'm talking about, this is the page that is created when someone places an order with you. It used to have a big clock at the top, constantly ticking down and counting down to your delivery date. And maybe it's psychological, the reason they changed this, but they've gotten rid of their big clock. That's something that many of you have said over the years. I hate this clock staring me in the face. It worries me. And they didn't get rid of it, but they just moved it. In fact, the new Fiverr order page now has this nifty sidebar on it. And I'm going to put one right up on the screen here. I don't know if it'll be on which shoulder of mine it'll be on, but I'm putting it up on the screen now. I've changed some of the details of this sidebar so you don't see any of my customers' details. Or my order details specifically, but this is what it looks like. This is where your new countdown clock lives. It's right at the top. It's no longer in big bold letters at the top of the order page. You now have some extra features on this sidebar, and it's really your guide for information about the order all in one place. And I must say that among all the changes to the order page that Fiverr has made, this is my favorite change, this new sidebar that's on the right side of your screen as you're looking at your computer, looking at your dashboard. It's got all the information you need on it. I mean, it's got relevant information like the countdown to when things are due. It's got the gig that they ordered from. If you have multiple gigs, it'll tell you which gig they ordered, quick and easy. It'll tell you who ordered it, the delivery date. That's what I really like, rather than just a countdown clock where you have the responsibility to go, okay, what's 2 days, 7 hours, and 14 minutes from now. No, it actually says a date and a time on there for you, the total price and the order number, along with a tracking feature that you can either collapse or view in a simplistic mode that just tells you where you are in the order. You'll see on this example that I've got here that the requirements have been submitted and the order is in progress. When you deliver, the order in progress will check off and it'll go down to say something like awaiting revision request or awaiting approval. It's just really cool. At a glance, you get to know what's up with every single order and everything is on the sidebar. I love that. Along with your delivery button, that's still up there. And the reason I love that is because the Fiverr order page before this was kind of a messy grid of information. It got really long. There were some things that were hidden. And even though there are still things that are kind of hidden on the order page, this is a much better way to organize it in my mind. And in many ways, I believe that they've made the order page for sellers look a lot more like what the order page is already for buyers. So if you're not an experienced buyer on Fiverr, this is more of what a buyer or your customers actually see when they order from you. And this change took place more than a year ago. And it looks like Fiverr is just trying to make the seller experience similar to the buying experience, if in fact they have people that do both. Like myself, I do a lot of both. I'm a top rated seller and I'm a top rated buyer, which I think Fiverr calls a VID. Very important doer. There it is. I almost forgot why it was VID. Very important dummy. I don't know, but I'm a VID as well. So I've seen part of this interface and I'm excited to see some of these changes come to us as sellers. Now, along with the new sidebar, Fiverr has actually subdivided at the top of each order page the activity, details, and requirements for each order. In the past, they'd done a little bit of subdivision where they had the requirements and a different tab you could click over and see those, but this is even more subdivision of this information so that each page is not quite as long. Remember I mentioned before you had this big long thread of things, which it's still a long thread depending on how much information is exchanged, but now it's more subdivided. So if you just need to see the details, maybe you need to see what gig extras somebody ordered, you can click on over to details and you can see, oh, okay, they ordered this base package with these extras. I know what to do and I have it all right in front of me, rather than having to scroll to the top of the thing, look for the collapsible tab, uncollapse it, look at it's in a different tab altogether, different page, which I think is really nice. And I think the division of these activities, details, and requirements will help us to keep things a little bit more organized in our Fiverr seller life. Now, one of the favorite features that I have that Fiverr is starting to integrate into more of their stuff is the addition of little private notes, little details that you can add to the order page. This is not something totally new, but the way it's implemented here is new. I like that before you could add a note to a gig or an order page just for you, not something the buyer would see, but something just for you as a seller. But this has a little bit better organization of it. It's called a private note. And this is a question that I have for you all, the Fiverr seller community. I want to know, how many of you use another piece of software, another to-do list, another solution or organization technique outside of Fiverr to manage your gigs? I want to know. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, do you just use the Fiverr dashboard to manage everything, or do you put Fiverr orders on an external list somewhere to manage? The reason I want to know that is because when I was transitioning from being a solopreneur, doing this all on my own, to having a team help me, that was one of the hardest transitions I had to make. I had to find software that would help me transition to use these same details somewhere else so multiple people could see them without having to be inside of Fiverr and mess with those details, make it messy, and to duplicate the intuitive nature of the Fiverr dashboard, which I find to be really helpful. You know, the dashboard is organized in chronological order based on what is due next. And I really like that. I think you'll find that as you go out and look for software to do the same thing, that it's not always as good as what Fiverr has. They have a really robust interface, and I've really enjoyed using it over the years. So in our software, we've tried to duplicate this very same idea that we see on the Fiverr dashboard. So I'm just curious, how many of you are using external lists? How many of you use Fiverr alone? How many of you will use this private note feature that's on the sidebar of the new interface? How many of you already used the note feature? I am excited and eager to learn all of these things. Leave me your comments down below. Let everybody know what you're using, because it's something that maybe everybody could benefit from. In the early days, I started using a simple to-do list manager when I was sharing tasks and responsibilities with my team. Back then, it was called Wunderlist. Wunderlist was a wonderful, W-U-N-D-E-R, wonderful solution for me, but alas, it was discontinued about 3 years ago, and I had to find a different solution. But we had outgrown Wunderlist. It was a little bit too simplistic, which is why I liked it. So that's just an idea. I then moved on to things like Evernote and Todoist and solutions like that. We can make a whole video about that if you're interested. Let me know. I'd love to talk software and plugins and tools with you all. So let me know if you're interested in the comments down below. But definitely would like to know how many of you are using this interface as your only solution and how many of you are supplementing it with something else. Now, another notable change to the order page interface is the location of the Resolution Center button. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Resolution Center used to be located in the top right-hand corner of your order page, right where the new details about the day and time, the time till the deadline and your delivery button are now, because it's something that many people had to use. It seems that whether subliminally or with great purpose, Fiverr has moved it to the bottom of the right sidebar. Now, no less accessible, but whenever Fiverr makes a change like this, it causes me to ask the question, why? Are they kind of devaluing the Resolution Center? Are they changing the way they want us to use it in the future? I don't think that we have an answer on that yet, but something to note, and maybe something we'll come back and look at this video later if they do change it and think, we were on to something. But it's now at the bottom of the right sidebar. The function hasn't changed. The value of it hasn't changed. The way you should use it hasn't changed, and I've talked about that in many videos, but for some reason, the location has changed. So if you go to the top right-hand corner of the right sidebar looking for your Resolution Center, it won't be there anymore. It's now down at the bottom. So all of these changes just mean that you get a more streamlined conversation approach in the main part of the order page, which is what Fiverr wants. This is when you're back and forth with your customer. They're sharing details. You're asking questions. Maybe you're sending little pieces of their project and getting their feedback on them. They want that to look more just like a text thread than a place where all the information is held. So they've moved all the information over, and they allow you to do all your communicating in the main part, the body of the page. Now, one thing that I wish Fiverr had touched, but they did not touch, is that messy top menu on your interface. In fact, they keep adding stupid buttons to the top of the top menu. And in fact, on my computer, I just use a MacBook with a pretty low resolution. It's running off the right side of the screen. If you can't fit all your items on the top menu, maybe you need to scale it down a little bit. So Fiverr, I'm just offering you a suggestion. Next time you mess with the interface, get rid of that silly, over-bloated, expanded top menu. Maybe some of you are using every item on there, but I wish I could get rid of things like studios. I don't use studios. I wish I could get rid of things like let me take a look here, because I've got some serious gripes. I think you could put things like promoted gigs and earnings in the same tab. I don't want to see a community tab. I haven't looked at the forums in years. That's what we're here for. I definitely think analytics should be under Seller Plus, or if you're not using Seller Plus, that should disappear. So many things they could get rid of in that top dashboard or top menu that I use all the time. Starts with dashboard, messages, orders, gigs, studios, things like that. I think they could simplify that. So Fiverr, if you're listening, that's a tip for you, something we as sellers, at least me, want and would improve our life greatly. So like I said, these are a lot of cool changes that benefit us as sellers, but if you're new to the game, if you're new to Fiverr, you need to get used to Fiverr changing things, because this is what they do. This is their MO. They constantly tweak, they constantly change, and there are times when they change things for the worse, and it breaks stuff, and it's really painful, and we have to kind of respectfully say, you're messing things up. What was a great thing you've now ruined? I even know that they did this a while back. They haven't done it on the dashboard pages, but if you click on orders in the top menu, they have changed the colors just slightly from blue and red to kind of a purpley blue and a more pinkish mauve. I actually like those colors a little bit more. But then if you go back to the dashboard, you're seeing a more royal blue and a more traditional red. They're constantly tweaking these things because they're trying to make this platform the best it can possibly be. I've said this before about other Fiverr changes. When they change things, It's easy to get bent out of shape because it changes the way we use things, but the truth is, every time they change something, it's good for us because it means they're paying attention, they're trying to make it better. Even if they don't always succeed, we know as entrepreneurs, as freelancers, that sometimes you try things that don't work. In this case, I think they've tried a lot of things that are working and are helping, especially that new sidebar. I hope you find some benefit from it, and I hope this video was helpful in giving you some information about how you can use it, where things are located, and how this will improve your interaction on the order page. Now, with all of that done, I've got a few more things that I want to say before this video is over. Number one, I am getting back to the regularly scheduled Q&A session this Friday, so leave me questions down below. I know with the holidays and everybody going everywhere, we've been a little slower on questions, so I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, and I will if I don't get enough of your questions, but we're going to be talking about things like the updated Seller Plus program, which I'm probably doing a full video on, but you have lots of questions about. We're going to be talking about the new analytics that are unlocked in that. We're going to be talking about some more user interface related things. These are the topics for the Q&A sessions, and I want your involvement. Leave me your questions down below. I'll get to them this Friday, and we're going to be back on a more regular schedule now that I'm back from a little bit of a break. And again, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate you being here. I'm always appreciative of what's going on in the world around me in Fiverr and in your freelance lives. So share your experiences down below. If you're not already, please consider subscribing. And until next time, keep doing, because the future favors the doers.